Excellent. Thanks very much, and welcome everybody to the 23-24 Round 2 Community and Place Grants Programme webinar. We do the acknowledgement of country first. I'd like to welcome you all to our webinar about closing the gap and how you can apply, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Paul Brignall and I'll do the acknowledgement of country. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to elders past and present, and I would like to extend that respect to Aboriginal people present here with us today. Thank you, everybody. I just want to do a quick housekeeping slide. The webinar is being recorded, as you've probably all noticed from the top of your screen, and an edited version will be published online. Please keep yourself on mute unless asking a question and turn off your camera. If you would like to ask a question, please raise your hand, which is located in the reaction tab, and one of us and one of my colleagues will monitor this. Alternatively, perhaps write in the chat and we'll get to that as soon as we can. We will answer all questions in order they're received, and if we don't get to your question, we will get back to you after the session. We'll also update the FAQs to include any new questions not already covered there. If we have any technical issues, which hopefully we won't, we'll share these as we go so you know what's happening. In terms of the order of proceedings, and session overview, we'll start with an overview of the programme objectives, the eligibility, not eligible categories of funding, which is essentially the programme direction, and then my colleague Robin will take over and she will talk to the application process, how to apply, the assessment process, criteria, tips, etc. And then we will move to the end into a questions and answers session, and you're all welcome to participate in that. But that component won't be recorded, but the questions and the responses will be in the frequently asked questions. Thanking you. Excellent. So in terms of the programme objectives, the Aboriginal Affairs New South Wales Community and Place Grants Programme Round 2 aims to deliver tangible local benefits and impact to Aboriginal communities against closing the gap social and economic outcomes targets, recognising that Aboriginal communities have the solutions to problems or issues in their community. Projects funded under the programme must contribute to the closing the gap targets specifically, not just broad outcome areas. The Community and Grants Programme aims to support one-off projects, which include programmes, equipment, vehicles, and infrastructure developed by local communities and with local community support to drive change and contribute towards the 17 socio-economic outcomes targets under the National Agreement on Closing the Gap. In terms of eligibility, to be eligible for Closing the Gap Community and Place Grant, applicants must be an Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander community controlled organisation or an unincorporated Aboriginal community group with an agreement from an eligible organisation to auspice the funding. Auspice organisations in Round 2 are no longer required to be an ACO, an Aboriginal controlled organisation. However, they are required to be legal and not-for-profit entity. Who is not eligible? Individuals are not eligible. Incorporated not-for-profit organisations not controlled or operated by our Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Unincorporated groups which are not led by Aboriginal people. Federal and state government agencies and bodies also not eligible. New South Wales public schools. For-profit organisations, including Aboriginal businesses, unincorporated organisations or group without an eligible auspicing organisation, organisations that have not met the project requirements, including acquittal and reporting for funding received from Aboriginal Affairs New South Wales in the previous 2 years. And finally, organisations with redress sanctions as described in the National Redress Scheme. Categories of funding. As with round one, there are three categories of funding. Category 1, programmes. An example of this would be health, culture, wellbeing, skills development programmes for Aboriginal community members. Category 2, infrastructure. Examples will be delivery of programmes, construction, repair and land purchase. Category 3, equipment and vehicles. Example will be equipment for programmes, technology and vehicles. The previous round of funding, round 1, included streams. These have been replaced with the label of categories. We just move now to talk about the funding. For the round 2, the community place grants, there will be $10 million in total available, which will be allocated across the 3 categories. And those again being programmes, infrastructure, equipment and vehicles. Applicants will be eligible for one application per organisation up to a maximum of $250,000. And applications will be assessed and competitively ranked against the application criteria. Applications with the highest score are more likely to attract funding. Projects must be delivered by recipients between 1 July 2024 and 30th of June 2023. And people should note that this will be a condition of grant funding. I'll now hand over to Robin, and she will explain how to apply and some of the tips of the application process.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, everyone. My name is Robin. I'm a Senior Project Officer with the Community Investments team. And like Paul said, I will be running through how to apply. I'll be providing an overview of the application and assessment process, as well as the grants program timeline, the assessment criteria, and application tips. Firstly, how to apply. So applications are completed online at the Aboriginal Affairs New South Wales Grants platform. To apply, applicants will need to go to Smarty Grants at aboriginalaffairs.smartygrants.com.au. Scroll down the page to view the current rounds and select the 2023 to 24 Community in Place Grants program. This will take you to the program landing page. Here you will need to register or log in to create an application. When completing your application, remember to save your draft application regularly to avoid losing your work. Review your form before submitting. Once submitted, you won't be able to make changes to the application. When uploading attachments, try to keep files to a maximum of 5 megabytes. We also have a step-by-step guide for applicants, which is available on the AA New South Wales website. Please note regarding late applications. Late applications are initially set aside and may not be considered further. In exceptional circumstances, applications submitted after the deadline may be accepted at the sole discretion of AA New South Wales, and only where AA New South Wales is satisfied that the acceptance of the late application would not compromise the integrity of the process. Exceptional circumstances will be considered on their merits and in accordance with probity principles. If your organisation is affected by exceptional circumstances, please contact AA New South Wales at grants@aboriginalaffairs.nsw.gov.au to advise of the circumstances as soon as possible and be able to provide detail and evidence of the circumstances which have prevented your organisation from submitting by the published deadline. Next slide, please. The program has now got a 2-staged application process. So the first stage, stage 1, is an expression of interest. Here, an initial application is to be completed where applicants will provide an overview of the proposed project. Applicants will also have the option to answer project-related questions in a video, which can be uploaded or shared via a link. All EOI applications will be assessed by AA New South Wales for eligibility. Ineligible applicants will be notified in writing. A panel comprised of senior officers from AA New South Wales and across New South Wales Government will review all EOIs and complete a merit assessment on program alignment. Recommendations from the EOI stage will be approved by the Deputy Secretary for Aboriginal Affairs New South Wales. Applicants who are successful with their EOI application will be invited to submit a full application for funding. Please note that an invitation to stage 2 does not guarantee that funding will be awarded. In stage 2, applicants will submit a full grant application where they provide more detail on their project. This includes alignment with identified closing the gap socio-economic targets, a project plan including key milestones and activities, a project risk plan with key risks and processes for managing these, a project budget detailed that will include a detailed budget breakdown and any mandatory supporting documentation. Full grant applications will be assessed by AA New South Wales regional teams and an assessment officer from AA New South Wales. Assessments will be based on the following criteria: alignment with community in place objectives, demonstrated local Aboriginal community support, organisational capacity, and value for money. A grant assessment panel comprised of senior AA New South Wales staff and New South Wales government staff will then assess all applications against the assessment criteria and make final recommendations to the Minister for Aboriginal Affairs and Treaty as the final decision maker. AA New South Wales staff may also request further advice and or clarification from applicants at any time during the assessment process. Next slide, please. Thanks. The expression of interest stage opened on Monday, the 2nd of October and will close at 10 a.m. on Monday, 30th of October. The EOI application assessments will be completed by late November and EOI application outcomes advised in December 2023. The full grant application stage will open on Monday, 4 December and will close at 10 a.m. on Monday, 29 January. Full application assessments will be completed by late March, with full application outcomes advised in May 2024. As previously stated, projects must be delivered by recipients between 1 July 2024 and 30 June 2025. This will be a condition of the grant funding. With the assessment criteria. So this is an open and competitive grants program. This means that applications will be assessed and competitively ranked against the criteria. Applications with the highest scores are more likely to be funded. What we're looking for first is alignment with the Community in Place Grants Program objective, which is to deliver tangible benefit and impact against the Closing the Gap socio-economic outcome targets in local Aboriginal communities. What we're looking for here is clear demonstration on how your project will contribute to one or more of the Closing the Gap socio-economic outcome targets for a local Aboriginal community in New South Wales. Your project must contribute to the Closing the Gap targets specifically, not just the broad outcome area. Next is demonstrated local Aboriginal community support. We're looking for clear evidence of broad support from the local Aboriginal community, as well as community involvement in project design and implementation. Next is value for money. So we're looking for realistic and cost-effective project budgets where applicants demonstrate a clear link between budget line items and project activities and outcomes. And then last is capacity to deliver. So we're looking for a demonstration of relevant experience and capacity to deliver the project. For infrastructure applications, this also includes provision of landowner consent and planning approvals. And then finally, application tips. With your application form, it's important to provide clear responses. Remember that you are writing for people who don't know your project, and your application will only be assessed on the information that is provided. With impact questions, relate these to the program objectives. Supporting material will provide more information about your project. Some examples include a project plan and letters of support. Think about the material that will support your application and show the experience or skills of your organisation or key people involved in the project. A budget guide is available on the AA New South Wales website with a checklist to help develop your project budget. There's a plan to help develop everything that is needed to deliver your project. With funding sources, it's important to include all funding contributions to your project, not just the AA New South Wales funding. With line item amounts and descriptions, it's important to provide clear details and exact amounts that are excluding GST for each item. And then with quotes, these are not required, but they may strengthen your application. More resources are available, which include the guidelines, step-by-step guide for applicants, the FAQs, and the budget guide, are all on the website. Thanks, Julie.
Okay, so I think we're ready to open up the questions and answers section. I think this component is not recorded. So if possible, could we turn off the recording?